I am going to be making some queso fresco today, and I've had a lot of people ask me before in my cooking videos how to make queso fresco, so I decided that I would just do this video. I have to make some for personal use, and then I have to make some for a party. I am going to do the one for personal use for YouTube because it's going to be a lot smaller. In this video, I'm not going to be wearing gloves. I have washed my hands. This is for my family. If you're going to be doing this for other people, especially if you have like long nails, just throw on some gloves for hygiene issues. But anyway, so this is a very simple recipe, and it yields a lot of queso. So if you're in an area where you can buy queso fresco, this little bitty thing right here is like $4. So for me, this vinegar will last me for a long time. I got this at the Dollar Tree for $1. The coarse salt, I like to have coarse salt when I make this. So try to make sure you get that. This costs $1. This lime only costs 69 cents, and this costs $3.24. So for just over the cost of this item, I am going to get probably 3 times the amount. So it absolutely is well worth it. So this is all you need. Milk. Now you want to get vitamin D. You don't want to get any light type of milk. Just trust me, because of how the actual milk cheese forms, you want to have the whole milk. Coarse salt, 1 lime, and vinegar. A lot of people like to use the apple vinegar. I don't. I like to just use the white vinegar. And the lime is optional. So I'm going to push pause and show you the actual materials you need to make this. Okay, the actual materials, I guess you would say, that you're going to need is a pretty nice sized pot. You're going to need a cheesecloth or some other type of cloth to strain the actual curds. Okay, guys? So I have this particular cloth here. You are going to need a spoon. I prefer to use wooden spoons very often when I'm cooking with liquids. You're going to need a measuring cup. You're going to need something to measure out your salt, a mesh strainer, whatever you're going to use to mold your cheese, a lemon press, or you can press your lime by hand, a colander or strainer, and then a bowl to mix. So that's all of the actual materials that you'll need. Alright, iba a hacer ese video en inglés y español, pero no quiero hacer eso 2 veces, so voy a poner toda la información abajito en español también. So I'm going to pause just a second, guys. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our gallon of milk, and we're going to pour the entire gallon of milk in our pan. It's a whole bunch of milk. Okay. We are going to put the temperature to medium, because we do not want to scald the actual milk or start to burn the milk. So what's going to happen now is this process is going to take a while, because we're going to be doing this fuego lento, or a lower heat. And what we're going to do is wait for this to start to kind of boil on the sides. So you'll see little bubbles on the sides. And you'll start to see just in the middle some bubbling there. You want to stir the milk while it's heating up, because you do not want it to start to burn on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and push pause. Once it starts to boil some, I will bring it back to show you how you're going to want that to be. Okay, guys, so you see little bitty bubbles on the side, and there's a few forming in the middle. This is not ready, okay? It is getting there, but I want you to understand that this is not ready. So far, it's been about 12 minutes. I always stir about 1 minute each time, come by 1 or 2 minutes to ensure that it is not searing at the bottom. But at this point, you need to stay in the kitchen, because you are getting very, very close to starting to prepare your queso fresco. I'm going to turn down the heat just a little bit. I have measured out 3/4 a cup of vinegar. I'm going to go ahead and pour my vinegar in. The vinegar is going to be what's going to separate the actual milk and make it into cheese. So we're going to sit here for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and prepare the other additives and bring the strainer and everything that I need over here. But as you can see, it's already starting to separate this quickly. Okay, guys? Now, a lot of people take this out really quick, and or they add too little vinegar. And when you do that, you don't get the thicker, more consistent cheese. So I like to use 3/4 a cup, and that's how I leave this in here. Now, I'm not saying that I do this the perfect way. I'm just saying that this works for my family. So hold on just one second. Okay, guys, so it's still really hot, even though I have it on the lowest setting. I have went ahead and squeezed out my lime. I have my colander here, and I also have a bowl underneath, plus I have what I'm using to grade. I have just a paper towel to keep this clean. I have my salt, my measuring cup, and then I have my mesh strainer, okay? So, just so you're wondering, this is what it is supposed to look like, guys, okay? So as you see, the cheese has actually already started completely separating from the vinegar. So this is your actual cheese. I'm just going to, see it got seared a little bit on the bottom, but that's okay. I am going to go ahead and let it separate just a little bitty bit more. And we will then start to move our cheese over to the actual colander. Just one second. Okay, guys, so this is pretty much as good as it is going to get. If you see any sear marks, I know I had one little bitty one, you can take it out. I can't find it, but I'm sure I will find it later. So at this point, I'm going to take my spoon. I'm just going to clean my area here so I can transfer. I like to stay very clean when I cook, so hold on just one more moment. Okay, guys, so I have pinched my cloth in between the bowl and the strainer. And now I'm going to come in, and this is the cheese. Okay? Okay, so I am going to bring over my cheese, and I'm going to ever so lightly put that in there. I see a little spot, so I'm going to take that out. And then I'm just going to continue on with this process. Okay? So I'm going to push pause and continue to bring all of my cheese over. It's kind of hard doing this with just one hand. Okay, guys, so right now, here is the actual cheese. And here is the empty container where the milk has separated with the vinegar. So it's pretty much empty at this point. And here is the actual cheese. So I do have this pinched in. As we see, we have a colander here. And we are letting the actual cheese soak within this cloth here. So I'm going to let this soak for just another second to get all of the excess out. This is an important time to go ahead, clean up your work area, and go wash your hands again, especially if you have nails, clean under them. If you are doing this for someone else other than your own family, go ahead and be prepared to get some gloves. And I'm going to measure out the salt. I already have the lime. You don't put the salt in here when it's cooking because it'll lose a lot of your salt flavor. So you're going to do salt to your own flavor or your taste, okay, guys? So I'm going to push pause, and then I'll come back while my cheese is setting. I'm going to clean up and go wash my hands. Okay, guys, so as you see, I've got my cheese. I'm going to just go ahead, pick it up, start to squeeze out some of the excess here. This is very hot. If you're not accustomed to doing this, I have been making cheese for so long that I can't remember. So if you're not accustomed to this heat, please be very, very careful. I am accustomed to this, and this is normal for me. So do not burn yourself. And you'll see here that we have a lot of excess liquid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this over into a secondary bowl. And then I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to clean this out, and I'm going to use this bowl underneath for mixing. So I'm going to push pause, and then I'll come right back. At this point, guys, this has actually started to cool down pretty nicely. So what I'm doing is just squeezing out any additional liquid, okay? So you want to get as much liquid out as you can. And you'll start to see that it will start to form with the actual ball that you're doing. So here's the actual cheese. Now we're going to have to mold this, guys. You're not going to just eat it like this, so we're going to have to mold it. And once I am comfortable that I've gotten out as much liquid as I can, then I'm going to go ahead and start putting the flavor into the actual cheese. Okay, so this will take a while, and please, if you're not accustomed to heat, please, please, please let it cool off. Nothing bad is going to happen with you letting it cool. It's better to go ahead and let it cool than get burnt. Okay, guys, so here is our cheese. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to pour in my lime. And I want to use, once again, we're trying to use the coarse salt. So I'm going to use about a half a tablespoon of coarse salt. Okay. I like a lot of salt. So now, make sure you washed your hands again, or you're wearing gloves, depending on what you're doing. Now, the important factor here is to make sure that you crumble the cheese to get your salt in. Now, if you're not wanting to add any salt, or you're not wanting to put any lime in here, you really don't have to worry about that. But I want to ensure that I'm mixing all of that salt in here and the lime very well, so I evenly distribute the actual flavor. Okay, guys? So I'm going to push pause, continue to do this, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, guys, so I'm just going to add just another half tablespoon, and then I'm going to continue to mix. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why not just add an entire tablespoon from the beginning? Well, what you're wanting to do is ensure that you like the taste. Now, you can go a little extra salty because it's going to lose some of that salt through refrigeration, okay, guys? But just going to go ahead and mix some more, and I'm going to push pause and come back. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my cheese, and I'm going to put it in my container. You don't have to move it. So I'm going to bring all my cheese over here into this container. That's pretty much going to be fine. Let's see here. Okay, so at this point, what we have to do is we have to mold the cheese into the container, guys, okay? So I'm going to take some time to mold this cheese. I'm going to continue to push and push until I get it to the form that I need it to get to. So I'm going to push pause, and then I'm going to come back. Okay, guys, I am just trying to release any extra moisture that I have. So I just used a paper towel. And I want this to be very well formed. Okay. So it is very well pressed. I mean, that is super hard in there. So I have a plate now, and as you see, the plate has paper towels on it. Actually, I'm going to push pause and wash my hands. Okay, guys, so I'm just going to take a knife real quick, and I am going to try to separate this without breaking the actual mold. Just enough to release it from the sides. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my plate, holding the paper towels, and I put my plate down here. Okay, so I'm going to tap it, and that is my cheese. Now I'm going to go ahead and form this cheese, just a little bitty bit. As we see, we have perfectly formed cheese. It's very tight on the sides. I'm sorry my camera died. I am going to put this into the actual refrigerator for probably overnight. I'm going to top it with some saran wrap, leave it in my fridge overnight, so that way it'll be nice and hard and have that wonderful firm consistency. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it will help you out. And that's it. That's how I make my crumbling queso fresco. Thanks, guys.